Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And you guys, now let's go to Gregg, Jarrett, a Fox News legal analyst. And this just coming out too, you guys, that Eric Swalwell's donors may have footed the bill for him to come to New York. And of course, that's where that allegation of rape took place. So does this entangle him legally in a big, big way? Let's go to Gregg, Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst. Gregg, where is this headed for him legally? Because there's some these allegations yesterday were damning by Lana Drews. I watched that press conference. She says he drugged her. That's what she believes. Choked her and raped her. And there's a pattern. There's other women, too. This is serious stuff.
It is. It's pretty horrific if it's true, and she does claim to have corroborating evidence. So, look, Swalwell's immediate goal is to avoid prison. But, he's looking more and more like Harvey Weinstein as, more women come forward with their horrific stories, that he was a chronic and abusive sexual predator, grooming young women, pressuring them for sex. So you've got the Manhattan DA conducting a criminal investigation based on allegations of rape in a hotel room in New York City. Yesterday in L.A., as you point out, another woman told her story of a similar incident, and then met directly with L.A. Sheriff's detectives. The Special Victims Bureau is taking over that case. So, he's looking at two potential criminal trials and two possible prison sentences. And in fact, I would add in additional criminal cases, the misuse or theft of campaign funds, paying his Brazilian nanny with campaign cash, which is illegal, other misappropriations. The FBI has opened a case, and I'm sure they're going to be digging for evidence on a wide variety of criminal offenses. And if I were a betting man, I'd say Swalwell is no longer heading for the governor's house, but he might be heading for the big house. And on top of it, he's probably going to lose his law license. So his ability to support his wife and kids, assuming they're going to stick around, is going to be tough.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if they're sticking around. Here's my advice: get a divorce.
Gregg, this is George Pataki, and thank you for your digging into this with such depth. I mean, Swalwell was a darling of the left because he was so aggressive in going after Trump. Even when he had a proven Chinese spy in his staff, they still hung with him. I'm reading reports where this was common knowledge in Washington for years, that this didn't just happen out of the blue over the last month, but that he was protected because he was so effective in trying to go after Trump. And now all of a sudden he had the possibility of being the Democratic nominee for governor of California, and they had to get him out of the race. Your investigations, have they shown whether or not this was common knowledge long before these last few weeks?
Well, interestingly, Governor, it's the Democrats who are now coughing up that information, saying privately to journalists, yeah, we knew he was a womanizer. We knew of these stories floating around of sexual abuse. Why didn't any of them come forward? His career was created by Nancy Pelosi. And, make no mistake about it, it was Pelosi who recruited other powerful political figures who were women who pulled the plug on Swalwell's gubernatorial campaign in California, where he was the front runner. And that invites the question, did they do it because they were mortified by these stories? No, they had to have known already for years that he was doing this. I think their motivation, and I have no personal proof, but I think their motivation was, in California, it's a ranked choice primary, no separate party primaries. And it looked like there were too many Democrats that were cutting up the voters, and two Republicans were actually in the lead. And as a consequence, they decided, well, if we get rid of Swalwell, we winnow the field and somebody else can emerge and beat the two Republicans. So that had to be part of Nancy Pelosi's calculation, because she doesn't do what's right. She does what's politically expedient to help herself.
Yeah, I mean, she, to the governor's point, she obviously knew about Fang. There's no way she didn't know about all this other stuff. Judge Weinberg.
Greg, good to talk to you again. I'll tell you what I think is very interesting. He was awash in campaign cash, both in his gubernatorial race as well as congressional funding. Now, what happens with that money? Is he going to try to use that for his legal defenses, both on the civil cases that will clearly come out of this, as well as the civil and the criminal prosecutions?
He'll try to do that, but what's so interesting is that he squandered so much of that campaign cash. I mean, personally, he doesn't have a penny to his name. He was living this extravagant lifestyle and borrowed cash. He emptied his retirement account, borrowed on his pension. He was behind in debt payments. He was using those campaign funds you're talking about, Judge, like they were his personal piggy bank. When you do that,
you're over the line.
Invariably, you're committing crimes. He was running a shell game.
Yeah. Now, let me ask both you and Judge Weinberg this, Greg. I'm not an attorney, so I'm just asking this. If he used campaign funds, or if he used campaign donation, first of all, if he used it to facilitate a crime, that's obviously, then it goes into federal charges, right?
Well, it's federal when he uses the campaign fund.
Exactly,
sure,
right.
Sure.
That's my point.
That's
so
federal.
This opens the door, right?
You know, that's exactly right. Greg, this is what I want to ask you. You know, people used to talk all the time about the famous Mann Act, M-A-N-N, which is the transportation of somebody for illicit sexual purposes over the state line. Now, when he brings some of his aides from California or the District of Columbia to New York, and then he attacks them, is that within the province of the Mann Act?
Yes, it would be, and just ask Puff Daddy about all of that, because that's what put him in the hoosegow. You know,
so that means the U.S. Attorney here in New York or District of Columbia or California, wherever it happened, and if the bad act happened here in New York, then the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District can do it.
In addition to the Manhattan DA.
Exactly.
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 Exactly, and I think that's one of the reasons why Kash Patel of the FBI is opening a wide-ranging FBI investigation to look at that, to look at loan fraud, as I say, theft of campaign funds, and I bet you he's looking, Judge, just as you suggest, at the Mann Act.
Wow, Rudy.
Yes, I'm curious. Does the House of Congress have any liability in this on the civil side?
Although he's out, he's now leaving.
I know, but he was a congressman.
Yeah, he was at the time.
Covered by Pelosi. I mean, Fang was out there. Pelosi kept him on the Intelligence Committee, which I thought was sinful.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what kind of blackmail did Fang have on Swalwell?
Exactly. So, this goes directly to the Congress. I mean, in the civil matter, Gloria Red is going to go after the House of Congress.
So, Greg, is there any liability? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, generally speaking, on the civil side, for members of Congress, there is governmental immunity. There's a way to pierce it, but it's very, very difficult.
Oh, very interesting. Greg, to be continued, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting. Love having you, Greg. Thank you so much.
Take care.